Hello, everybody. It is your professor, Rocco, your boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this class, we answer the age-old question, how do you get better at scoring battle tactics? Because I have enough people that have come up and asked me after the last tournament I did, where, our team didn't drop a battle tactic, and they looked at me funny and said, you can do that? Yes, very easily. And with this guide, hopefully, we can help you. So, without further ado, let class get in session. To me, there are three types of battle tactics that we can talk about here. And these are just the generic ones, General's Handbook, subject to change, but in this current season where we're in GHB, we won't talk about the ones in special battle tomes. You don't need those. Alright, you can score up to 5 battle tactics a game because there's one per battle round. We can just do the basic list and be fine. No need to get fancy, no need to get crazy. Right, for me, now, out of that generic list, there are the ones you can score on your own without a monster, the ones you can do with a monster, and ones you can do involving your opponent. That's the harder ones here. Number 2 we can fix with list building. But you need to be aware of what you're even able to do throughout the course of the game. Because that's really where people mess up. Is they get really excited on, like, one that's nice and easy now. And they're like, oh yeah, I can save some of these other ones later. But you're like, if you control all the objectives, you can't do Conquer. And they don't think ahead like that. They don't incorporate battle tactic scoring into their plan throughout the game. And this is what we're trying to look for here. So the first section here is battle tactics you can do on your own without a monster. You don't need your opponent's help. Nothing crazy here. We've got aggressive expansion, which is you pick 2 objective markers not wholly within your territory, and you complete it if you control both of them at the end of your turn. Generally, most battle plans have objectives that are in neutral territory or like half in, half out of yours in a no man's land spot. You can score this just by existing. This doesn't have to be take opponents' objectives. It can be, but it does not have to be. And you don't need a monster with this. This is just a nice, easy grab here. You don't have to take the objectives off your opponent. This is just something you can control by yourself at your time and choosing. I like doing this one early, or sometimes saving it for the end. It depends on the mood I'm in here. Where something like Savage Spearhead, again, I don't have to fight anyone for Savage Spearhead. Savage Spearhead is have 2 or more units from my starting army wholly within my opponent's territory at the end of the turn. And if they were monsters, I scored an extra point. Like, I need an enemy to exist to go into their territory, but I don't need to fight them. I just need to get there. That's it, just about moving. I like Savage Spearhead generally mid to late game because you're probably not scoring at Battle Round 1 unless you're bringing a bunch of stuff in from Deep Striking and reserves and stuff. So you need Battle Round 1 to move up, right? Battle Round 2 to 3, hopefully you've pinned your opponent in place in their territory and you're going to have the units there to do it with. Or, by Battle Round 3, you've broken through the enemy's lines and you have the spare units left to just walk in there. Again, you don't need to fight anybody for this. This is just, can you move there? If you have monsters to do it with, great. If you have a monster and then you could have a wizard cast the generic GHB spell to make it a monster to score you this for the extra point, even better. Alright, but again, these are things you can do where it's just on you to score it, which is really what's important here. Next is Ferocious Advance. This is one of my favorite ones for doing this in the first battle round, which is to summarize that paragraph you see before you, pick 3 units from your starting army and run them so they all finish the run move within 3 inches of each other. All right? You're moving up the table anyway in Battle Round 1. You're closing distance. Or sometimes you're just going to have like 3 support heroes in the back just chilling, you know? It could be a couple of screen units you have. It's just easy to do. And I like doing it earlier in the game because, again, it just involves me, myself as my own player, to do it. I'm doing something I'm doing anyway, which is moving. And my opponent can't prevent me from doing this as long as I have 3 units. And again, if I'm doing this the first battle round, we're probably not fighting. So I'll pick 3 units that won't be shooting later, unless I have some kind of run and shoot ability, to do this, and I'm fine. Easy victory points here. If you have 3 monsters, or 2 monsters and a wizard, yeah, you're not screwing yourself if you don't get the wizard spell to turn it into a monster. It'd be nice to get the extra point, but we're looking for easy to score points here. And again, this can be done at the beginning when you have 3 units. It can be done towards the end if you still have 3 units. But it's something that I like to open up games with because I'm already going to be moving. The movement phase is going to happen, and I want to be a part of it. You know, and with the other ones, I'm going to be moving into my opponent's territory eventually, and I'm going to be capturing objectives throughout the game eventually. So if I'm already going to be doing the thing as part of my plan for the turn, that's my battle tactic, if I can help it. All right. And next, a little shout out to you, our students. Don't forget to leave a like. Put a comment in this video. You know, we've done great with setting like 20 likes for a video, but y'all are not talkative, and I cannot answer viewer questions if you don't leave viewer questions in the comments. You know, like, yes, in some of the different Discords I run for different people, I get contacted and messaged on Twitter even, but we have our own channel. We have our own ways of communication here. Leave a comment. Give me something to talk about here in our videos, because I'll be honest with you, we've been hitting our like goals so much. Every other video on this channel will be a battle report. And who knows, maybe one day we have like a Patreon or something that'll fund us so we can do a battle report and a tactics video. Or maybe 2 battle reports. Maybe we sell out and become a battle report channel. I don't know. But that's down the road, and I cannot, as your professor, cannot get there. And we as a channel cannot get there unless you leave comments in our videos. And also subscribe. A bunch of you keep watching and aren't subscribed. It's that button on the bottom. Thank you. So, self-promotion over. Battle tactics you can do with a monster that are easy here. Monsterous Takeover. This is just pick a monster of yours to stand on any objective that you own at the end of the turn, and there are no enemy monsters nearby it, trying to also contest that objective. You know, and there's a common mistake here thinking that you have to call out the objective and the monster to do it with. You don't. You just need to pick a monster. Complete this if that monster is contesting an objective marker that you control at the end of your turn. So, you know, again, if you have a monster before it dies, because you know people are going to try to kill it, this is good. This doesn't need to involve your opponent at any point in time. Just do it while your monster's still alive. All right? It's your professor. I'm telling you, just do it. And now we get into the harder battle tactics to do. We had 4 that were relatively easy. It depends on, do you have the units still alive to do them with? You know, that it's in your control at that point in time. This is where things get a little bit harder. You know, bring it down. When you reveal this battle tactic, pick 1 enemy monster, and monster's been in capitalization here for yeah, I said it funny, so you're gonna remember it. monster is capitalized because it is a keyword. I say things funny and make jokes to give myself a memory device to be like, all right, cool. That's the joke. That's the thing we're gonna remember. You gotta remember. You gotta pick an enemy monster to kill for Bring It Down. All right. This is dependent on your opponent bringing a monster in their list. Yeah, that's why this one's hard. Sometimes they're just not gonna bring one, and then you just can't even try to do this battle tactic. But if you have a monster and kill an opposing monster, you get an additional victory point. And also, if you're playing in Gur, because you are, if you're using these, you get an additional victory point for the battle round for killing a monster. So this, all of a sudden, for a little monster on monster violence, gave you a 4-point swing. But again, if nobody brought monsters, Bring It Down is pointless, and you just can't score it. Again, this is the whole, you need to have your opponent do something here. It needs to be alive. And also, if there's a hero on that monster, you call out, Bring It Down, that thing's gonna best day ever. You know, the heroic action where it's +1 to save and wound. We jokingly call it best day ever, when really it is called I forget. But you pair that with a Mystic Shield, you pair that with All Out Defense, you know, and then you're just going to be saying here, like, Rocco, why couldn't you remember that best day ever is called Finest Hour? Well, because I forgot to bring a monster in my list. You can't score it anyway. That's why. So then we've got broken ranks, and again, that's the thing here. These should be 4 in total. Battle tactics that involve your opponent, give them counterplay. These are the ones that are very easily deniable here, unless you do something like silly for the first 4. Like, people have been known to mess them up absentmindedly by accident. I've had people say they were going to monstrously contest an objective and then charge into me, so then I had to kill it, their monster, and then I got the bonus point for killing their monster and denied them the battle tactic, and then that was a huge point swing there of 5 potential points, because I ended up, they dropped 4 and I scored 1. That's 5. It was bad. And broken ranks can be avoided by a good redeploy. It could be avoided by surviving the combat. You know, in our tournament, my wife was able to actually deny a couple broken ranks because her Nighthaunt were ethereal and ignored Rend, and had a ward save, a deathless save, from her heroes being nearby the unit. So they just didn't die. You know, because people would split fire, try to, you know, they try to get cute. And if you're going to call out, Bring It Down, or call out broken ranks, you need to hard commit to these. And you can score a bonus point if you do it with a monster. You know, that's great. And that's how, in some of our other videos and games that you've seen on the channel, I've run up the score where it's like 20-5. And they're like, Rocco, how the heck did you even do that? And it's like, well, you know, I scored these additional monster points for doing stuff with monsters. I was able to kill opposing monsters. But how I did that was by focusing down, like, listen, I need to take this objective from my opponent, right? It could be battle round 2, battle round 3. And they just happen to have a monster defending it. Well, then they're not going to redeploy off the objective to give it to me, because then I'm going to get a lot of points from that by them not being there. Same thing with broken ranks. You know what? I'm going to force them to not run away from me. And I will force this confrontation where I'm going to also put in my shooting. Like right now for my Deepkin army, my Shelly baby girl, my Leviathan, is loving the D3 damage on her harpoon launchers, where, you know, shooting attacks, destroying a unit because she was a monster, still get me the bonus point. She could be from 24 inches away, lobbing harpoons to score this for me. But I'm going to set both of these up, so that my opponent has to fight me at least to try to take away some of their agency. Will it work all the time? No, of course not. But, that's why these are more difficult to do, and you still have to try. Because you need to do 5 battle tactics in a game, not 4. Next, Conquer. So, this one can be a little... But you need your opponent to actually take an objective off of you at some point in time, or to take a neutral objective. If they aren't holding any objectives, you're probably winning the game, but you're not scoring a conquer. And that's when I would recommend some of the easier ones to cycle in here. Like, there are times in games where I will literally leave my opponent surrounded, leave one unit on the table of theirs, that's a battle line unit, that I'll save for, broken ranks, but I'll also leave an objective for them, because it's optional to burn an objective using the girl rules. And I'll leave it be, because it gives me something to conquer. If I'm controlling 95% of the table. Because a lot of scoring for battle plans in 3rd edition are hold 1 objective, hold 2 objectives, hold more than your opponent. There's usually 3 or more objective markers on the table. So you're never playing for all of the objectives anyway. So for a Conquer, again, I do need my opponent to exist, but I don't necessarily need to interact with them. If they leave it unguarded, if I can make them redeploy off it, if I can just take... Because here's my favorite thing to do in Warhammer. In any Warhammer game, any war game, any game, is if I can take an objective without expending any forces of mine, right? Like, if I can move models up and take the objective without having to fight, I love it. If I can move models up and then it's just on my shooting to clear off a couple models, love that too. If I don't have to get into combat with you and take the chance if I'm going to fail my dice rolls and then you're just going to come in and kill me, I'll take the chance to not have to fight you. Because it's just, why? You're just going to waste time and resources pushing me off later when I'm already here. The agency is on my opponent. And that's why I like Conquer, because you don't have to kill people off the objective. You just have to take it back. But it does involve your opponent taking an objective at all. It's just, you got to be smart about it. Because again, it's like, if I know the way I'm going to score enough points in this battle round is, like, there's a primary objective that's worth more points than all the other objectives, and my opponent has it. I know I need to take that objective anyway. I'll throw a Conquer down. Be like, yeah, this is what I'll do. This is why I'm here. We're going for it. And also with this Slay the Warlord, now this is another one that if you do with a monster, you get an extra victory point, but it's kill your opponent's general. They respond with their heroic actions after you declare your battle tactic and after you do your heroic action. So again, this is harder because they can say, my general's going to go out and have their finest hour, do their best day ever, and be a pain in your butt. You slay the Warlord if you can force the confrontation and you can put as much of your army, and at least half of your army's worth of points of models, from shooting and magic and combat into their Warlord. I mean, I need mortal wounds coming out here. I need neg 3 rend. I need mortal wound hitting on 6s, exploding into 6s, and shooting and wounds. And we need that, okay? Because Slay the Warlord is hard. Especially if people are riding monsters. So they've got like 16 wounds for you to chew through on a 2-up save with a 5 or 6-up ward save. And it's why it's very low on my list. And I've got all these other battle tactics that I plan on doing. Because, heck, there'll be times you're going to accidentally kill the Warlord just through the course of fighting. There'll be times where on their turn, here's a fun way to deny Slay the Warlord. If you run into somebody that, like, you don't have monsters, so that they didn't bring monsters, so they're scrambling for stuff. Send your Warlord in to die. You know, it doesn't really hurt you if you have other heroes. And they've got like one wound left. You're like, okay, cool. So the only battle tactic they can do in bottom of 5 is slay the Warlord. Well, my general's just gonna go in there and just have a glorious death. Probably die on the Unleash Hell. Your opponent won't even realize that they screwed themselves out of a battle tactic. But that's how easy you can fail slay the Warlord. Because throughout the course of a game, your opponent will probably take that away from you. Broken ranks, there's 3 battle line units in a 2,000 point army. You're probably gonna get a chance at one of those units to kill it. They only have one Warlord, so I don't bank on doing this one at all when I've got 7 other ones to do. You know? And yeah, no, that's it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go back to this slide. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming to class. Thanks for watching the video. And if you have any viewer questions, put them in the comments. Next week's video will be the battle report because we smashed the 20 likes. If we can get 20 likes on this too, I'd appreciate it. I don't know, maybe a comment besides me talking to myself. Who knows? You know? But we want to keep making content for you. So it's not just battle reports for entertainment. It's also, you're learning stuff, whether you realize it or not, as I'm breaking down these battle reports and things. And I want you to be able to take these classes and those battle reports and improve your game. So, as I like to say at the end of all of our videos, thanks for watching and class dismissed. Bye.